So I know that these subjects are all intertwined, obviously, but what I've tried to do is sort of talk a little bit. First questions are sort of more about sort of autism questions. The second question batch are more about sort of cancer related. Then I have the what I call the dream on, let's dream more questions. And then
that's
sort of
how
some
change
more
happens.
exactly.
You know.
And then we have the more general questions.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And just a little cool thing. So I read this interview with Rita Sharon. She's a doctor, Columbia, and she's sort of the person who started narrative medicine. And she said that narrative medicine is in its storytelling, is in its core. It is an advocacy and activism that by telling the story of people's experience of illness, of abilities, disabilities, however you want to talk about it, of their the way that they experience their lives. Is by its very definition activism and advocacy. And I thought, whoa, you're speaking my language, girl. So this is why it feels like such a good mix for me. So
well, it's about what how the person experiences, rather than I'm looking at you and I think you should do this and that, and
and I see your blood work and your scans, and which is important.
That's all important.
You have to learn to cut and read scans and do surgery and all that sort of stuff.
That's all. But it's that's
part of it. Yeah,
it's part of it, but it's not the whole.
So this is the parallel chart.
Okay.
The parallel charting. So.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Okay, so autism.
Yes.
So the question I have is, so what has changed, if anything, about your understanding of yourself as a person with autism since the last time we spoke? Well, we spoke like yesterday, but I mean, since the last time we spoke officially.
Yeah.
So since last year, I guess, so what's changed about your understanding of yourself about autism?
Well, I think it's been good in a lot of ways that I've, it's brought out that dealing with autism is how I've developed the strength I have in my life. That's if I do choose to do something, I do it, and if I get support, great. If not, okay.
Oh well, yeah.
Oh well, I do it anyway.
Go. Yeah, exactly.
But I also see that it's made me sort of think I need to do everything by myself. Just because I learned to started to learn to deal with autism. I always had family support, but not institutional support.
Yeah. So you and I together have done some interesting, albeit unpaid work this past year, both with Ovarian Cancer Canada and their patient guide, which will come out, which actually, as started as something for autistic folks, but then it was sort of transformed into something that everybody could use to have more effective conversations with their doctors, which is awesome.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Which is wonderful. And then we're working on more sort of autistic specific panther guide, a patient guide. I didn't
Panther guide is for a cat.
How to be a good panther. Good God. I did not have enough coffee this morning. And then more recently, you and I have been invited to be involved with this working group for autistic people with cancer, which is international. We're not sure how that's going to work, but it's all unpaid. And so can you talk a little bit more about what these projects are, what they mean to you, how they felt, what that means?
Well, I think it's really good because a lot of the stuff you read about autism is for the caregivers or, for kids. And I think it's really good that doing some research and different things on, just continues into adulthood, and, the issues don't stop when you graduate from high school.
That's right. Yeah.
I've dealt with a couple of things since 1984 anyway. So.
Exactly. Few things, just a few. Just one or two. Just one or two. Yeah.
And I think if it feels very positive, that's going in the right direction, that, people, just like neurotypical people don't stop dealing with things at 18,
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
That I think it's good and it's felt really positive to be involved in that and involving actual autistic people rather than people studying,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a big positive.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the things that's interesting to me is that for cancers, of course, there are childhood cancers as well, but most people get diagnosed with cancer later in their years. So you're looking at a lot of people who potentially, like yourself, had a late in life diagnosis, or perhaps just a self-diagnosis or a self-realization or something like that. So that's a different thing, as we've talked about, than somebody who was diagnosed at age 2 or 4, and then had supports all the way through their young life. And then, so when that generation gets cancer at 50 something or 60 or 70 or whatever, then that might be a different thing. So, but we'll have changed the world by then.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's the plan. That's the hope.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. Be the change, right? I know. Yeah. So, do you have specific hopes about those projects?
Well, what I hope is that it normalizes, like, for example, kind of a related example. One of the workout DVDs I have just has closed captioning. You don't have to sign up for it. You don't have, it's just there.
Yeah.
So it's normal. Deaf people exercise too. So
of course, yeah.
So just kind of normalizing it in doctors' education and and another big hope is like talking to the patient. Like this one thing I read said, don't talk to the caregiver, even if the patient's 2. You communicate in the way that 2-year-old can understand.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that's in the expanded guide, and some copies of it obviously, but particularly if somebody uses alternative communication, that even so the doctors have to be trained to wait for the answer. Somebody's typing out, and doctors turn and say, "So, Mom, what do you think about going on there?" Or sister or whoever.
Right. Yeah. Just like you'd wait till someone's done talking before you talk.
Unless it's us and we talk over each other all the time. Right. But if you're a doctor-patient thing, you don't want to do that. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, I think it's very positive.
So normalize the training of the healthcare team.
Well, and just normalize us, like, I did some thinking and writing about how to treat autistic people at work, and just asking for like written instructions isn't being fussy or being needy. It's just how you need to work, or asking for a noise level that you can work comfortably and isn't special treatment. It's just, every worker deserves comfortable space to work in.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of thing. So it's just more equalizing.
Yeah, it's equal access.
Yeah.
To, in this case, a work life, but in that case, a healthcare, an equal access to healthcare.
Right.
Yeah. It's the wheelchair ramp, right?
Yeah.
Example.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's not giving equal, that's giving equal access to people in wheelchairs, that they can access the buildings. It's not, you can climb up the stairs, but these people need a ramp. So
exactly.
It's not special treatment for them. It's equal treatment.
There you go. Bumper sticker number 2.
Yep. Anyway, so, what I think would be better is to, even spend the same amount of money, but, spread it out. And, what are you doing or do that? And, how many Indigenous people have you hired? How many, well, we love autistic people. We want to hire a lot. Well, I've been here for 5+ months. So.
Yeah.
And not just me, but more like spending that money instead on, training staff how to, or, training interviewers how to notice the signs that, that it's somebody's autistic rather than just being a stranger and social. And then when people are working, train teams on how to deal with an autistic person, how to integrate and that kind of thing. So I think, and in hospitals, like, having like in library, having quiet places to wait, especially for long periods of time.
Which are inevitable,
Yeah,
particularly in cancer centers or emergency rooms
yeah,
or, yeah.
and it's not. I mean, it's not great luxury. It's just I have a small room to sit in, so I'm not overwhelmed for 5 hours, kind of thing.
Yeah. A spa would be nice, but I'll take a
Yeah.
small room. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I
exactly.
think they have those in the States. If you have a lot of
Yeah,
money, you can go
yeah,
somewhere and be pampered, but
yeah, yeah.
that's not what that's not
That's
what
not
we're
what we're
asking.
looking at. Yeah.
No, just a space with, you know, like, they're the tiny rooms at the Tom Baker that, and I would have even taken a, small room with a couple of chairs.
Yeah, rather than that being our treatment room with like you and me and Andy shoved in there and
Yeah.
the doctor, that was bonkers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
Hopefully
So
it'll be better with the new cancer center. But
hopefully,
yeah,
so
but
yeah,
it's
for
just,
sure.
it's just considering. I mean, that's true for everybody with cancer. It needs some comfort, but
Yeah, yeah,
for an autistic person with, TV go, which is a nice idea. People are bored, something to watch.
yeah,
But
yeah,
5 conversations going around, you're full of stress, it's,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
debate, it's not.
And then the wait, the unknown. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's hard for sure. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
All right. And speaking of cancer,
Hmm.
okay, so let's put it there. So how have you been over the last year? How have you been feeling physically?
I think pretty good overall.
Yeah.
I've gotten in good condition again and
Mm-hmm.
physically
After your
stronger.
yeah.
Yeah, been doing my physio and
Good.
yeah, gotten, I think, physically strong and in good shape overall.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think unless without just unless I'm taking my pills, I don't really think about it most time.
Yeah. Unless you're taking your Lynparza and stuff, you don't
Yeah,
think about it. Yeah. Yeah.
just good.
So by staying in shape, by doing the physical activity, that helps you sort of manage the stress about it, or
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah. Yeah.
And just controlling what I can, like
Exactly. Yeah.
you know,
Exactly. That's all we can do.
it- and I've read things too that like eating well and staying in shape and stuff matters a lot after preventing recurrence. So
Yeah. Well,
it's not.
it's all you can do, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's as we've talked about, it's the things that are within our control and things that are
Hmm.
beyond our control. So yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. Yeah. Well, that's good. Good. Um, so you've throughout this past year, you've had you've had your regular blood work.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's in the guide is we hopefully will develop kind of the tips and tricks thing, which we know will be different
Hmm.
for everybody.
Hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about what you do when you're sort of coming up to a blood work day, how you feel about it, what you do to sort of get through the day, and so on and so forth?
Well, I worry. I think there's always a little bit of worry, like it's always been fine, but will it be fine again? And
Right. Yeah.
are these things that are happening, do they mean that there's something wrong, or are they just unrelated?
Like the
That kind of,
dizziness and stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of thing. But it's become just very routine.
Right.
Go to get, look at the results. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, what I wish we had is, I think it'd be hard to do, but what could be helpful is like numbers. I'm glad we can look the results up online.
Mm-hmm.
But we
Yeah.
have the, that's empowering, I think. But
Okay.
we have
Yeah.
the numbers from the regular population, and what would be maybe more helpful is having numbers from somebody on Lynparza.
Oh, like when they give you a so-called normal range?
Yeah, whatever
Yeah,
that is.
the dreaded normal. So,
Yeah.
the dreaded normal. Yeah, so like if they give you a normal range for your blood count or whatever,
Yeah.
and yours is always, of course, on the little low end.
Yeah.
But I think like we've checked in with your oncologist a
Hmm.
couple times about this, and they've said, you know, if
fine.
your neutrophils are below, 2, then you have to worry.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
And I've been doing it.
that they've sort of given you that
Yeah.
guidance to read those
Yeah.
read those results. Yeah.
And I've been doing it long enough that I have a normal range, too. So
Exactly. That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
So
Exactly.
good.
So if you go in that little range, and then if you dip down, then maybe something's up.
Something to consider. Yeah.
Yeah, something to be
But,
concerned about there. Yeah.
but no, I think it's a good thing overall that
Yeah.
keeping track of it, and
Yeah. Yeah.
better to know if something's really out of whack.
Yeah. So you said you find it empowering to look up the results online. That's something that you like to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Because other than waiting, okay, I wonder what it is, and waiting for the doctor to call, or waiting for that whole system to have to get through to, or would I have to wait till it was really off to hear anything, or
Right. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. So we were talking about Lynparza when we left
yeah,
off.
yeah,
So I don't think we had the opportunity to call, like, just when we we had this interview.
hmm
You thought it was going to be ended, and then we had that kooky, it's on again, it's off again, and then it's been extended for another year. And
yeah,
you've got an anniversary of the 3-year mark coming up pretty soon.
yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about how all that has been for you? The stopping, the starting, or the not stopping of the drug, but the weird sort of on again, off again, being on almost like a trial medication, or
Yeah,
something that's new, something that's really new.
well, I was kind of upset when I thought it was ending, because I seemed to be doing well on it, and
Right.
just as a left-leaning person, I was like, well, is it just because? Oh, and then the one doctor, oh, you could pay for it if you like. Like,
Yeah, it's $100,000 a year.
do you have an extra 100,000 a year? Probably
I do
not.
not.
Yeah.
I do not. And probably that doctor doesn't either.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know anybody who could.
I don't know anybody either. Yeah.
So that was bit, but I was kind of, I was lucky to have had it for 2 years, but I was sort of upset when I thought they were just going to stop it. And
Yeah.
especially if it was just for financial reasons,
Yeah. Yeah.
that nobody wanted to pay for it. And, but then it turned out that, so I was happy to be able to continue on it as long as
Yeah.
and that the government's paying for it as they should.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah.
like, it's probably 1% of the world's population not even could afford that.
Not even.
Not even
Yeah.
half, maybe.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously expensive.
Exactly.
And I seem to be doing fine on it, and
Mhm.
my blood work's turning out fine. So
Yeah.
grateful to be able to stay on it for another year, and
Yeah.
hope I can, because I guess 5 years is sort of the traditional. If it's going to come back, I've got 2 more years, so hopefully I can stay on it for that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so how do you feel about this? Like, so also at this appointment coming up, which I'm so glad I get to be with you in person. Yay.
Yeah, yay.
Some families go to Disneyland. We go to the cancer center. But yes.
Yeah.
Good times. But we're also going to Sephora. So
that's right. So
that's right. Damn it. And we'll have some birthday cake too. So there you go.
We're gonna have some pandemic.
We'll have some pandemic cake or whatever. We're having birthday cake and pandemic cake. So you've got your CT scan coming up, you've got the Lynparza anniversary, you've got this appointment, in-person appointment. How do you process this? How do you feel about it? Do you not think about it too much, little? What do you think?
Well, I think I've been kind of looking at, like, if I have some bloating, is that because I take a lot of fiber, or is it because there's something wrong? I'm a bit worried.
Yeah.
And I feel fine, but the cancer in the first place didn't show up as anything related to,
Yeah, it showed up as abdominal stuff. Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's such an insidious little cancer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
So, but a bit worried, but again, I'd rather know if there's something we need to do.
Yeah. Knowledge is better than not knowledge. I think we've talked about that a lot. Yeah.
sort of worried, but on the other hand, just want to know what to do next, and a bit concerned that if I'm starting a new job, I'm going to have to take time off right away. But that's how it is. I can't.
How it is. Yeah.
I can't do these appointments on Saturdays because they're not. They're
Yeah.
Excuse me. That's just when it's going to happen. So.
Yeah.
But no, I hope I get to stay on Lynparza as long as I can tolerate it, and it's helping.
Yeah.
Like why go off, stop doing something that's working?
Right.
I think what works for me is thinking of myself as somebody with cancer, not cancer not cancer for,
Yeah, it's that person first language with autism.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Which actually, that's an interesting question because so like you have used, like you and I've talked about this before, like you like the words I am an adult with autism, right?
Yeah.
But I think I told you this before. So I had that, right? I had that into a person with cancer, and I totally get why you're saying. But when I put that in the guide, and talk with Autism Canada, we're like, no, you can't put that language in. I'm like, yeah, but that's what my sister wants to call herself. She wants to call herself a unicorn with autism. I'm gonna freaking honor her freaking pronouns and her language and her everything right now.
I'm 56. Don't tell me how I can talk about myself.
Don't tell me how I can find myself. Like, I get it. I do understand how other people want to say I'm autistic or I'm a person on the spectrum.
Great.
I get it.
Happy,
and I get it.
Tell you that.
Yeah, I get it. Like, but do you think
I'm an adult?
What's that?
I'm an adult. I've earned.
I've earned the right to define myself the way the words I want to define.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No. That's right. No, I think it's important. I think it's important because defining yourself as a cancer patient versus as somebody with cancer, is different. How is that different for you than defining yourself as autistic versus a person with autism? Or are those parallel identities, or?
I think they're parallel. I mean,
no, I'm not saying they're the same.
No, I know,
as illness, but in terms of using language is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, no, I think it's the same idea that, I don't think of Donna as a diabetic first. Think of her as a
interesting. Yeah.
As a vibrant person with diabetes who happens to have to deal with diabetes.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think it's sort of a, anybody, like if you break a leg, you're going to need, that might be how you define yourself until it gets, until you get do your physio and get strong and able to function normally again,
Yeah.
But for a long-term condition, I think it's important to say, that for me anyway, not everybody else can call themselves whatever they like.
You can call yourself unicorns.
Yep.
Yes, you can.
If you think of yourself as just somebody dealing with these issues, then it's, you deal with them to support the rest of your life.
Yeah. But do you feel that, the only difference is, I totally see what you're saying, is that, but as we know, autism is like cancer is something that is acquired, that can come in your life and then may or may not go, right?
Yeah.
You may always have to be on the look of it. Whereas autism, we know that it's a brain wiring, right?
Yeah.
It's just who you were born as.
Yeah.
And that's who you are. So it's not something so that's what I mean. It's a bit different.
Yeah, no, it is different. But it's like sort of the maybe old-fashioned, but it's not so old-fashioned because people with autism still have extremely high rates of unemployment. So sort of the thinking, oh, well, that would be too stressful for you. You should just, but then, being unemployed causes far more stress than a appropriate job.
Yeah, than a supported job or a supported, otherwise supported,
And then, financial, and then autistic people end up in more abusive relationships because they don't have money to support themselves, which isn't.
That's right. Yeah.
So again, another oh, but that work would be too stressful, but not having work is more stressful.
Not having to be able to financially support yourself
For
is more
yourself is.
stressful. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Um, oh, so just so briefly more about Tom Baker,
Mhm.
do you have a good sense of, or do you feel confident in your follow-up care plan? Do you feel like you've got a good plan, or do you wish it was different?
Well, I think it's good. I think it's, ideally, I'd like it to be more like, there's one thing I read that, somebody, especially men, have heart attacks. They get this whole, oh, well, here's your diet, nutritionist, and here's, an
Your
exercise
rehab
plan.
plan,
Yeah.
here's your everything. Yeah.
You know, and there's sort of some of that, and a lot of that was cut out because of COVID, of course, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I wish there was sort of a more structured, like I get, through the different groups, there are some things like that, cancer groups, and I think some of that'll come just having a bigger cancer center and everything in one place rather than, well, here's a brochure, you can call these people, but
Yeah.
like one I emailed and never heard back, and
Yeah. They're probably run by a volunteer and that person's got COVID and homeschooling their kids, right?
right, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
zero
So
free
good
time.
luck. In their
Yeah,
free time, they're also running this volunteer group. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, that leads us beautifully into my next question,
Okay.
which is, this is the dream on section. We've talked a lot
Mhm,
about that. This is how this whole business with the advocacy guidance stuff started.
mhm,
So Tom Baker has built this giant new cancer center.
mhm.
I hear they don't have doctors to staff it, which is
Oh,
not the
small
smartest plan. Well,
small detail.
small detail. You forgot
Yeah,
about that part.
beautiful
Um,
new building though. Yeah.
Beautiful new building, yay. So that if you were to support your needs,
Mhm,
and then so maybe start with that, and then perhaps other autistic people,
yeah.
how would you design that cancer center
Well, I'd have,
if you were a consultant?
yeah, if I ran the zoo.
If I ran the zoo, which we clearly don't, so
But maybe we do.
maybe
But
we can. We run our own personal zoos, and that's about
that's
it.
right. Cat zoos.
Cat zoos.
Yes. Anyway, so yeah. So what would I do? I'd have comfortable waiting spaces,
Mm-hmm.
being given that that's a lot of your experience there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, consultation rooms that are big enough to comfortably house, comfortably seat and whoever's there without people being
Smushed against the wall.
crammed
So,
in. Yeah.
yeah.
But I think also just if there's offering you other things, being able to go directly, like,
Like the
well, to be,
psychosocial supports and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
like they did, I guess, originally run the Look Good, Feel Better out of Tom Baker, but so, that would have been there if during normal times, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just having things close by and even right there.
In one physical location. You
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Maybe I think would it be nice to have like comfortable places to stay for out of town people, because we're lucky being, just less than half an hour away from, driving
Right.
distance, but
Yeah.
rather than having to stay somewhere expensive or, you know, and cancer's already expensive.
Yeah, you lose your job, you lose all this, or you have a stay from your job, or yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, extra charges
The
and
best
stuff.
the best case is that you'll be on reduced income,
That's the best case. Yeah,
if any
exactly.
income at all,
Exactly. Yeah,
and then more expenses if you're, having to drive in every time. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
but, that would be nice. But just having things in one, I think everything in one place, like instead of, oh, well, here's a brochure, and if you want to call this person and set up an appointment, just having, maybe people come by and talk to, having them come to you rather than, because
You
they
have
were,
to chase them down. Yeah.
chase them
Yeah.
down, make an
Yeah.
appointment, wait 3 weeks,
Yeah.
which, realize they're not just there to support you, but,
I'm eating licorice.
that's okay.
Speaking of
That's
our
right.
healthy lifestyle, I've had a healthy
That's right.
breakfast. Now I'm eating red licorice because
Yeah, I
anyways.
get it. Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, so about the look and feel better, I know that we talked about this last time, that if you were designing that for like autistic people, like that specific piece of it,
Mhm.
what would you have needed as somebody with some sensory issues? Not as many or some different ones than other folks with autism. What would you want if you were designing that?
Well, I think when I did the online one, and that was
Yeah.
good in a way because I had my own space. But
Hmm.
I think just fairly not too many people, like maybe 5 or 6 people, and then one presenter or whatever.
Hmm.
So not too crowded and noisy.
Yeah.
A chance to just watch. Watch. Okay, let's see, you have put somebody's makeup on or whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but I think just relative quiet, enough space around so we don't feel crowded, which you wouldn't want during COVID anyway, or anytime really.
Right. Yeah. But if we're imagining the non-COVID cancer
Yeah.
building here, so yeah.
No, I think just a comfortable room and enough space to feel like you weren't really closed in.
Yeah. So those are really important to you to have physical space and to have
Mhm.
a quiet space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reasonably, not a
Not
lot of,
monk-like silence, but
yeah,
so,
a lot of noise, not a lot of
yeah.
noise either.
Yeah. Not doing it at the the food court of a shopping mall.
Right. Yeah.
Equivalent of that. Yeah, for sure. So I asked you this question
Mhm.
before, but I wonder if you have a different answers if you do.
Mhm.
So what do members of your oncology team not know about you that you wish you did? Wish
Mm.
they did. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
And let's include your pharmacists, your blood draw people, your nurses, everyone you've interacted with, the whole team.
Mm.
Like if you could say, there's things you don't know about me, but I wish you did, and you need to know these things to treat me better.
Well, I think that I take time to process, take longer to process, and like to me, it seems sometimes people are moving very fast. They probably don't think they are, but so I
Mm.
think just giving me enough time to process what they're saying,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because sometimes it can, especially if my stress levels are up, it can seem like, "Bloop, bloop, bloop." Okay,
Yeah. And you're like, okay,
all right, whatever you said.
whatever you said. I think somebody recorded that for me. I hope. Yeah.
So just slowing down and just,
Yeah.
I realize they're busy. I realize that they have to stay on a tight schedule and so on, but
Mm.
and that's more just how things are scheduled. But keeping it, just giving me the few extra seconds to digest it and respond.
Yeah. Um, in order for that to happen, they need to know that you need that, though, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That.
maybe
Yeah.
some way of telling them, or
Yeah. How do you think that could work for you?
well, I think asking, if it seemed like okay, then asking, could you repeat that, please? And
Mm-hmm.
but also
Yeah.
just and also I think awareness on their parts that because they've said this 4,000 times and learned it, have it, right first thing in their memory that
Mm-hmm.
this might be my first time for hearing it, and
Right. Particularly if it's big news of some kind.
yeah,
Yeah. Or presentation of a treatment plan or options or
yeah,
yeah.
and I
Just
think that some
yeah.
just some doctors were great with that, had fabulous communication skills, and some are
Mm-hmm.
just here's the information. Any questions? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's, so I think that goes back to sort of how doctors are trained, and even what you and Bill did, that could be a good idea, that having autistic people do those, sort of mock situations.
What? Oh, you mean the questions and answers kind of stuff that we do?
Yeah. Well, like when
Yeah.
you were mock patients and
Oh, the standardized patients. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, so we need autistic standardized patients.
I think so.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know if they do actually. I'm not sure if they do right now.
That'd
I'm
be,
I'm out of touch with that. Um, but
that'd be
yeah, that would be
just for
cool, right? They
practice.
might actually. Yeah, they might. Um, but they also they need they need to change the training for the healthcare team.
Yeah.
But then I think maybe the healthcare team needs to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Because let's just say, like, if you go in there, let's sort of cast your mind back to those fun first days with Tom Baker. If you go in there, like, you're not going to go in with this big letter A, "Hi, I'm Lindsey, I'm autistic and I've got cancer." Oh no.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, it's hard. Not many people walk around disclosing
Yeah.
unless they have there's, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I think that's part of it. So if we train the nurses and doctors to sort of pick up on clues, but then somebody might be insulted,
Yeah.
right? If you say, "Oh, you're being a little weird. Are you autistic?" Like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm not. Damn it.
I'm just,
That's
I'm
so
just
rude.
weird,
Now
damn it. Yeah.
I'm just
Deal with
weird. I'm just
it.
weird and a little bit stupid." So, not autistic at all. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that somehow, like, there's need to be some kind of questionnaire or the intake form or something in which the patient feels comfortable in saying these things,
Yeah.
disclosing. Yeah.
Rather than, are you disabled or not?
Right. The check yes or no. Oh my God, that is my life's work to get rid of the check yes or no disability box.
Yeah.
That was on
Really?
your BRCA testing for, oh, good, sweet love to God.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're working on that. We're working.
Yeah. No, that's
So,
a ridiculous question.
no, it's a ridiculous question.
You know,
Yeah.
athlete with a broken leg is disabled at that moment.
I know. Like, what do they mean? What do they mean?
Yeah. Anyway.
So that kind of leads to the next question. So
Mhm.
how do you think you could have more effective conversations with your doctors other than the more time
Yeah.
issue, which is clearly really important?
Yeah.
Like, what do you need other than the other than our self-advocacy guide, a word from your sponsors,
Yeah.
filled out with complete form, which is now a sizable workbook.
Yeah.
So what do you need other than that to be put in the hands of everybody?
Mhm.
But what do you need in the interim
Well,
to have better conversations? Yeah.
I think it's a lot of it is, I know how to be assertive, but I think it's being assertive when you're super stressed, super,
Mm.
you know,
And sick. Some
and
people, like,
sick,
are super freaking sick when they get there. Yeah.
so, you know, I think it's just human.
Yeah.
It's easier to be, do all your best skills and be your best self when you're feeling great, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
but it's also just saying, okay, be more assertive. But how do you do that when you're scared, you're sick,
Hmm.
so just and feeling vulnerable. I think that's a lot of it.
Of course. Yeah. And
You know,
everybody feels vulnerable when they're
yeah.
sick, and then you feel more vulnerable if you've got, yeah.
But so just kind of more of a mindset, like, the doctors are there to help you, but they're, you're in charge still. They're not in
Hmm.
charge. They're like one doctor said, we're all on your team, but you're the boss,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
And
mean,
lots
it's,
of people don't accept various, things will be offered to them and they'll say no, or they'll
yeah,
want more or want less or different. And yeah.
but just because you're down at that point, you're still,
Yeah.
so it's and it sounds sort of whatever, but I think that mindset is really important,
Hmm.
because if you feel like you're vulnerable, oh, I just have to take whatever anybody's going to give to me, and I shouldn't ask
Yeah.
for anything else because grandma's doctors are busy. Well, yeah, they're
Yeah,
busy.
exactly.
Parents
And
too.
that's how we were raised. Like that's the thing
Yeah.
about being, I think, people of our generation as well. And I
Mhm.
think about being someone with autism of your generation,
Yeah.
that maybe when that kid who's 5,
Hmm.
who's, raised to expect supports
Yeah.
and ask for supports,
Yeah.
if that person, God forbid, gets cancer
Hmm.
in their 50s,
Hmm.
they might feel a little bit different.
Yeah. Like, well, of
I don't
course there's
know.
gonna be supports for me, and
Of course there are. Here I am. I'm autistic. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I'm ready for it. I expect
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, I expect
Hmm.
what everybody else, equal to what everybody else is getting, which of course
Yeah.
they should have.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Yeah.
but our generation is more like, oh, well, shouldn't ask for anything and
Hmm.
gratefully accept whatever there is. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not, and I think it should just be there for everybody.
If there was, we've talked a little bit about, like we know a little bit about patient navigators. If there was an
Hmm.
autism specific patient navigators for cancer patients
Wonderful. Yeah.
program, yeah.
Hmm.
So what would that be helpful for you if there was somebody, if you said, and if you walked into that cancer center, we could rewind that time. Not that I want
Hmm.
to go through that again,
God, no.
but hell no,
Hell
hard
no, I did
pass,
it. I
hard
survived.
pass.
We survived.
Exactly. Hard pass on that. However, in
Yeah.
our imagination, we can think our way back
Yeah.
and said, so if someone said, so if I said to that nurse when we first walked in, as I did,
Hmm.
Lindsay might need a little help. She's on the spectrum. I didn't even
Hmm.
know what I was asking.
Yeah. Just
I
want
just
to tell
like,
somebody.
I would tell somebody, please do something. Help me.
Yeah.
Help me
Yeah.
help her.
Yeah.
And I mean, in my fantasy world, someone would have handed me the workbook, which we are now
Hmm.
going to develop, filled with resources. And somebody would have said, here's your patient navigator.
Yeah.
Here's her number or his number.
Hmm.
And they're going to help you navigate the entire cancer experience as a person with autism.
Wow.
Wow.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Yeah. No, really. I want that to
So
be there for somebody else.
I want that to be there for somebody else too. So what would that patient navigator need to know, do you
Well, I think that, even during the best of times, it takes me a lot, and I've accepted it, I've gotten used to it, but it takes me a lot to deal with a lot of noise coming at me.
think?
Like, even if I'm feeling great and in the mall,
Mm.
I have to put my walls up and just, it takes a
Yeah.
lot of energy to block out the noise so I can just do my things and talk to people. And,
Hmm.
it feels like being blasted, you know.
Yeah. So if you're using your energy spoons or whatever to do that, you don't have the time, you don't have the focus to concentrate on what's happening. Yeah.
Right. So that, having a quiet space would be, more equalizing for me so I could, handle it with somewhat less stress.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. What would
Uh,
that navigator as a person need to do for you? Like we've talked about the physical space. So
yeah.
what would that person need to do for you?
Well, I think be able to even, I was lucky enough to have family around, but, you know, um, but, just be able to, okay, what else was stressful? What wasn't stressful there, but, um, well, other, like I found the constantly changing appointments at the beginning very stressful.
Oh, when they kept changing your times and
Yeah,
everything.
like,
Well, that even
yeah,
happened recently, and frankly, that was stressful for you, hon.
yeah,
Yeah, and then I changed flights, and that was a bit bonkers. So
yeah. And then
yeah.
just, so that would be another sort of general thing is for them
Hmm.
to wait until they know when appointments are going to happen before, like sending it out months in advance and then, oops, well, last few weeks, oh, we need to do it at a different time now.
Yeah,
So,
we don't have any oncologists, sorry, at the cancer center.
yeah,
We're running it as a vet
yeah,
that
that's right.
day. Sorry, kittens allowed, but no
Yeah,
actual cancer patients.
yeah.
Um,
So, but just more explaining, I think, how things work and what,
Mm.
because I realized, I mean, I had a good experience, but a lot of that was, I had my surgery, weeks before the
That's
hospitals
right.
closed down,
Yeah, yeah.
and you wouldn't have had any family in there. But then the
No.
cancer, the navigator probably wouldn't have been allowed in either. So, but
No, I mean, they would have still had to, they would have been as blindsided by COVID as every healthcare professional was as well.
yeah,
But at least they would have known the ins and outs of the hospital better than, you know, a family member would have, right?
right, yeah,
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
think just being able to, and just being able to talk, someone to talk to, or okay, why have we been waiting for 3 hours for this appointment, and
Yeah, yeah. And maybe just understand the language of when I say I have sensory needs, like when you say I've got my walls up because I can't like that, that's like, oh, I understand what you mean by that language,
right,
or
it's
maybe if
taking,
somebody's really has a lot of tactile sensitive sensory needs or something like
mhm,
that. Yeah,
that isn't just being fussy or
yeah,
demanding or whatever. It's
yeah.
just
I'm not being a princess. So,
no, really though.
no, for sure, for sure. Yeah,
I really, okay, if I'm gonna have to wait another 2 hours, could I please go in a quiet room by, or just
yeah,
with
yeah,
one or two other people rather than,
yeah, yeah. And I think so this is gonna kick us out in 2 minutes, just give you a heads up. And then we'll do
mhm,
one more if you have time, just it won't be that
okay,
much
yeah, that's
longer.
fine.
So I think the other thing too is somebody, I guess in my imagine, is somebody who can say, so if the patient says once to this patient navigator, I'm
Mhm,
autistic, this is the way I communicate, these are my particulars, this is the way
mhm,
in which I'm autistic. Because as
yeah,
we know, you meet one, right?
yeah,
Um, so that person says to the navigator, okay, this is the way in which I don't make eye contact when like other people
mhm,
don't, right? Or
yeah,
I need headphones, or I really, for me, the most important thing is quiet or space, or
mhm,
however autism looks to that person.
right, yeah,
Um, then that person communicate with the navigator once, and then that navigator can communicate to all the other healthcare team
oh,
people so that the patient isn't going every single time. By the way, I've got sensory needs. By the way, I've got by the way, blah blah blah. Every
yeah,
freaking time they have to
right,
say,
and
"This is
they're
why
not
I'm wearing
talking to each
earphones."
other.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's good. And then,
like a hub is sort of what I think of. So,
yeah, and the navigator can tell the next doctor or nurse or whatever.
yeah, yeah, exactly,
Because,
exactly.
and then, I mean, I think this is just general, I don't think this is autism related really, but just, it feels like endless waiting, and then the doctor comes in,
Oh, I know,
flies
right?
through.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
if we have 43 seconds, let's see how we can make the most of that and not
yeah, yeah.
fly by without,
Or before
with
the doctor
exhausted
enters the
hands.
rooms, they know they
Yeah,
can't go, like they
yeah,
know that
that's right. No,
this patient needs, no burping, blurring here. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add about the recording at the SAM? Anything else you wanted to add about the navigator program, about sort of doing up about that?
Well, I think what would be helpful, I think for me, but especially, not everybody's as blessed as I am with family and, an aunt who can kind of get me in, and, I've
No.
made it, but just somebody who knows the hospital system. I mean, kind of
Mhm.
like Donna kind of played that role for me,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
'cause, I mean, I was of course scared going in, but it was a lot easier to have, ideally I wish that could be there for everybody, but
Hmm.
just sort of more patient focused rather than, oh, it's not convenient for us to have all these people in the room, so we won't have them. But,
Right. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, so just somebody who, because if I had been there, by myself without anybody who knew what the hospital was like, I would have been, if my stress level was already like this, it would have been through the roof,
Oh, for sure. For sure.
but
Exactly.
that could be helped somewhat. Ideally I'd like, a navigator for every little person there,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
really dream big, but
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
But more, I think it's just more patient focused rather than hospital focused. Like I remember grandma saying, hospital would run fine as long as all these pesky sick people stayed away,
That's right.
You
Well, you didn't have to actually deal with patients. That'd be fine. Tickety boo.
The beds look perfect, but seeing it more from the patient's point of view.
Yeah.
From a doctor's point of view, well, I'm running a bit behind. Oh, well, moving as fast as I can here, but the patient. So somebody kind of an intermediary to explain. I mean, ideally, they're not running 3 hours behind anyway, but somebody to explain why you're here, why you're waiting here, why it's taking so long. They're this far and I mean, they've done that somewhat electronically through, like you can look up and see how long the wait times are in different emergency rooms. So that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you know it's going to take 3 hours, then you can say, okay, well, I'll get up my book and
just relax into it a little bit. Yeah.
Go have a cup of tea and come back in a couple hours. Exactly. Or, something like that, rather than, because it's going, it's going to be an extremely stressful situation no matter what. But I think they can take down some of the stress by having, like they do, it sounds meant to be insulting, but like they do for little kids, like, you're coming to the hospital, the doctor's going to help you. And, it's not meant to be, sort of infant, but, if you're 30 and sick, you need information too. It's not, doesn't
exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It's just, if you understand, doctor's not ignoring you, they're dealing with a emergency or something, then you can have, but if it just feels like you're sort of endless waiting without knowing what's going on, that's going to be, those are people who don't need one iota more stress than they have already.
Yeah.
So just more, I think somebody to sort of explain what's going on. Go back and forth between the doctors and just explain to the doctors too, this person might take a bit, a few seconds longer to absorb what you're saying. Please be patient.
Take your time. Yeah. So it sounds like you're envisioning someone who's actually like physically with you through the appointments.
Well, that would be ideal.
Yeah, right. Like with you while you're saying, because that would be like almost like an actual guide with you in the rather than someone who's just kind of a coordinator.
Yeah.
Like a check-in point or something.
Well, and especially, I always had family with me, which is very, very grateful, but not everybody does.
We've talked about sort of triggers. What brings you joy? What are your glimmers? What are the things that sort of lift you up, that fill your cup? And what are the things that are your triggers that bring you down?
Oh, glimmers. I like that.
Glimmers. I know. I stole it. I didn't make it up. I wish I made it up. Yeah. So glimmers anyway. It's just something that what brings you joy, what makes you, as someone with autism, with cancer, all those sorts of things.
Well, I think when I'm doing something and get the results I'm working for, and that's, that's big life. And just things I do feel, improve my nutrition, I can work out, I can, put in the effort to the job hunt that I, I can do those things. I can, time with the cats, time with family, which cats are family too. But,
exactly. Let's just make that clear, everybody.
Yeah, more and less furry family.
That's right.
Just doing, I think having a balanced life, sticking with my sticking with what I'm doing. And
have you changed because you've talked a lot about the routine sort of brings you comfort and things. Have you changed your routine to adapt at all? Have there been things that you've changed?
Well, I think not really. I mean, I think I've gotten, if anything, more active, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think being physically active makes me feel good, so I keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You
yeah,
get
but
that positive reinforcement. You feel physically better and
yeah,
better. Yeah.
yeah, your Sunday drives are just being silly sometimes, and
Yeah. Yeah.
fun moments with the cats, and just making it sort of as just seeing myself again as somebody with dealing with cancer, not as a cancer patient, and
Yeah. Yeah.
living
So
as
it's,
normal a life as I can, or my
yeah.
normal anyway.
Yeah. You're normal. So,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's an identity issue in part. Then.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
When I
get
go,
that.
see, you know,
Yeah.
and if I go to interviews, I want to see Lindsey, the employee, not, and I might have to go to some appointments, but it's not,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sick person, please hire me because you feel sorry for me.
Yeah. Exactly. You don't want the pity higher. So.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
And you and I've talked about that too before, that it applies to the autism as well, right?
mhm.
And that uh you don't want that
No, I want it because I'm,
because you're going to be good at the job. And so what about the things that sort of make your time worse? What are the triggers? What are the things that kind of
well, I
that
think,
that just make it like, this is, I just can't deal with today. So,
yeah,
or this moment of today.
well, I think, sort of worrying about symptoms and I think not
Mm-hmm.
knowing is the worst. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I get a blood work number that seems funky, and then waiting, is that really bad or is that just my normal or what does that mean? Or a physical symptom, or,
Mm-hmm.
kind of worrying and not knowing is what makes it worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what do you do when you feel those concerns? What do you do?
Well, I think, just like if it's a blood work number, I can look at my past numbers and see is that in my normal range.
Right. Yeah.
The numbers on this website are for the average population who aren't on Lynparza. So,
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of thing. The dizziness, okay, is this could be completely unrelated or what's going on, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Oh,
for you, it works better to know rather than not know.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's bad, I'd rather know and be able to do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel that way personally too, but I think not everybody feels that way. But I think, that's what makes you feel more, what brings you hope in these rough times, I guess.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah. And I think just any, whether it's hearing about a job or waiting for a medical result, it's just tell me and I'll deal with it, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Then we'll do what's next. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I get it. I get it. Yeah.
But overall, I feel good. I feel
Mm-hmm.
I've got a happy life and
That's good.
loving my life. And
Yay.
yay. No, really.
Yay. Yeah.
No, really. Though, I mean, I think it's gotten to an age where this is who I am. This is what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
welcome to join me if you'd like, or not.
Or not.
Or not.
Pass me by. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else that I have not asked you, particularly about hopes and worries, or anything else in this conversation that we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
Well, I think just big thing is just how to do conversation, both for the autistic person and the healthcare people. Just
Mm-hmm.
autistic people. Oh, okay, I have to learn how to ask for what I need, but then there also has to be the doctors or nurses who or whoever also have to have time and mental energy to
Mm-hmm.
do that. Like,
And
you know,
training. Yeah.
yeah, and training. It can't just
Yeah.
be ask for what you need, but in the 19 seconds you have with your doctor.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. 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 So we got to change the world. Let's just end with that.
Yeah, let's end with that. But
Let's end with that. We're working on it.
we're making progress.
We're making progress. So
That's
that is
amazing.
the end of my questions.
Okay.
Yay, us.
Yay. Well, that was good. That was
Yay.
good. Yay.
Well, thank you again for doing that. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And
I'm glad we're doing it together.
yeah. Well, the whole point of this little project is called Sisterly Solidarity Storytelling.
Yeah, I like it.
So it's about telling a story, and sort of multifocal story, and
Mhm.
you know, that has as its aim and advocacy. By telling one person's story, we hope to change
Change the world.
change the world. There you go.
Yeah.
So there you go.